Hello everyone, welcome back to Maths Help. Today's topic is completing the square. So we will be completing the square for a quadratic. Now here's the thing, I have another video where it says how to solve a quadratic using completing the square. Even though the focus of the video is how to solve, it does dive deep into completing the square, but not as deep as this video will. So if you want to learn how to solve a quadratic while completing the square, I would jump into that video instead. But this video will be about completing different kinds of quadratics. So it's not just one specific type or one simple type. We will also go into more difficult fraction types. So let's get started. Let's get started with the simple kind. So to do this topic, first things first, we need a quadratic to complete the square. So the quadratic is, so let's use an example of x minus 4x minus 12 is equal to minus 12. So like I said, this video will be just about completing the square, hence wouldn't have any solving. Therefore, if you want to also learn how to solve, please check out the other video. So if you want to complete the square for this quadratic expression, the first step is to identify, oh sorry, I forgot the x squared here. So the first step is to identify the coefficient of x. So in this case, that is minus 4. So first step, identify the coefficient and then half it. So what I mean by that is you identified that the coefficient is minus 4, so you divide it by 2, you half it. Doesn't matter what the coefficient is, you always half it. In this case, that will give you minus 2. Now this is very important. I'm using a negative example here purposefully. So if the coefficient is a negative number, you have to take the sign as well. You can't just take the number 4 and ignore minus. You have to take everything as a whole. Always include the sign. So that would be minus 4 divided by 2 is equal to minus 2. Now step 2. Create square brackets. So what I mean by that is after you half it and you get a value, create a square bracket out of it. So you'll put this in here. So that will be x minus 2 whole squared. So this is step 2 and this is step 1. Now step 3 is expand the brackets. So you have to expand the brackets. So in this case, that would be x squared minus 4x plus 4. Once again, if you don't know how to expand a quadratic, please check out the expansion video and jump back in. Otherwise, let's just carry on. So the expansion would be x squared minus 4x plus 4. Now step 4 can be done 2 different ways. So let me go through the one I like because yeah, that's the one I prefer. So step 4 is to see how to go from here to here. So that is step 4. So how to reach the number of original equation. Oh, once again, this is not equation, it's expression. So in this case, I have plus 4 and I want to reach minus 12. Therefore, I will minus 16. And let's go on to the final step, which is to rewrite it as, so let me just, what color, 5. rewrite the expression as a square. So the final step, step 5, is to rewrite everything as x minus 2 whole squared, then the minus 16, and you're done. You have just completed the square. Now here's the thing, the steps would be exactly the same for every single quadratic, except the one where there's a coefficient for the x squared. When there's a coefficient for the x squared, you have to get rid of it first, but we will do that example next. But so far, I hope you got it. If you have any questions, please comment below and I will be happy to answer. Now, I remember I told you there's 2 methods from step 3 onwards. Step 3 to 4 onwards, there is a second method. So what I will do is I will explain that method, which means just gonna delete this just to create space. Yeah. So what the other method is, after you have reached x minus 2 the square, same as step 2, step 3, you expand it, same thing. But here's the thing, your aim is to not have 4 but to have 12 instead. Therefore, the first step you would do is get rid of the 4, because you don't want 4, you want minus 12. So you get rid of the 4 by just literally subtracting or adding it depending on its sign, and getting rid of it to give 0. Then you just add along the one that's in the original equation. In this case, that's minus. In this case, that's minus 12. In other cases, some other numbers. You do that. But you might be wondering, oh, that's exactly the same equation as we were starting with. But here's the thing. Usually for this step, you won't fully expand. What you do is you would just look at the number. So you would just look at this number and you will see, according to the quadratic expansion, you will know that the final number, is going to be the square of this. In this case, that would be minus 2 times minus 2, which gives you 4. So you already know you can get rid of that 4. And you know that you need minus 12. So that quickly gives you to here. So it is pretty much, it gives you the exact same results, but this one is more logical process, whereas the one I did first was more of a visual representation of where you're going to, from where you're going to where you're going. So it doesn't matter which one you use, gives exact same result. Feel free to use whatever you feel comfortable with. So just to reiterate the second method, so you first decide what the ending number of this expansion is by just multiplying the numbers here, so that you know it's 4, but you don't want 4, so you do this negative sign of it to get rid of it. That would be minus 4, and then you add on what you want. In this case, that is minus 12. So if I were you, what I will do is take notes on this and practice it with the next question I'm about to do. So the next question I'm about to do is exactly similar thing, but instead of an even number in the middle, I have an odd number, which means I need to work with fractions. So I'm just doing this example to get used to the different types of questions, but it's exact same method. So if I were you, to test your understanding, I would try this method first by yourself and listen to what I'm doing later on. And if you still have doubts on the question, on the topic, please just carry on watching. So the next expression is x squared minus 5x minus 6. So if you remember from the last question, our first step is to halve the coefficient of x, in this case minus 5. So I'll do minus 5 divided by 2, which gives me minus 5 over 2. Yeah, that's it. The second step was to write it in a square. So that would be x minus 5 over 2 whole squared. Third step, expansion. So that would be x squared minus 5x plus 25 over 4. And step 4 is to see how you can go from plus 24 over 4 to minus 6. So feel free to use a calculator if you want. So 25 over 4, 6. So you want to do minus 49 over 4. So 25 over 4 minus 49 over 4 is equal to minus 6. Which means, so that is step 4, you can finally rewrite it as x minus 5 over 2 whole squared minus 49 over 4. So just to reiterate the second method, what you could do for second method is you reach this step stage 2, x minus 5 over 2 whole squared. Then you just look at this the number inside, which is minus 5 over 2. You square it, which is 25 over 4. But you don't want it, you want to get rid of it. So you do minus 25 over 4. What you really want is a minus 6. So then you minus 6 it. So that will give you the exact same thing as x minus 5 over 2 whole squared minus 49 over 4. So regardless of what method you prefer, it always gives you the same end result. So this question was exact same method as last one. The only thing is this minus 5 is an odd number, which means you have to get used to fractions. That's all it is. But it's the exact same method. Make sure you're comfortable with odd numbers and working with fractions, because it can cause a lot of mistakes and confusions. People get confused. Is it still halving? Is it quadruple? I don't even know. People think different things, but there's no need for that. It is the exact same method. The numbers are different. That's all it is. So make sure you have more practice on this to get used to these type of questions. Perfect. So let's move on to the next type of questions, which is, let me show you an example. So an example is 2 x squared plus 4x minus 6. So I'm trying to complete the square for this expression, but there is something very different. Something that is very different is the 2 in front of the x squared. All this while I was used to just halving the number in front of x, but now I have a number in front of x squared. So what should you do? What should you do is you should just get rid of it. But here's the thing, you can't just get rid of one term's number. You have to factorize it out. So in this case, I will factorize out 2. So that leaves me with x squared plus 2x minus 3 inside the bracket. So this becomes the first step when you have a number in front of the x squared. Make sure you remember this. It's not just the x squared's coefficient you're getting rid of. You're not getting rid of anything. You're factorizing out the number. You're factorizing out the number from the expression. Keep that in mind. Now here's the funny thing. Now it's exact same as the questions you have done so far. But keep in mind that you are only applying it to what's inside the square brackets. So just a tip, I would probably use a square bracket here instead of the curved bracket, because you will have to use the curved bracket later. So to avoid confusion, better use square bracket here. So the next step, exact same step, you identify the coefficient of x, you divide it by 2, you half it, and you get 1. Then you write it in the squared form, step 2 squared form, and then you expand it, and you see how you can go from +1 to -3, and that would be by doing -4. Then you rewrite the whole thing as a square, where it's x plus 1 whole squared minus 4. So I guess I'm done, right? No, you're not done. Remember the square bracket you had before? That square bracket is still there, and the 2 is still outside. So what would we do now? So it might sound counterintuitive, but you're going to expand the 2. So what I mean by that is you multiply 2 with the first bracket, then you multiply 2 with the -4. That would leave you with 2 bracket x plus 1 whole squared minus 8. And you're done. You're good to go. So the confusion that can arise in this type of questions is literally just a number in front of x squared. After you get rid of that by doing factorization, it is the exact same old method. So keep on practicing with that, and it should be perfectly fine for completing the square. I'm going to do one more example, but with a bit more tricky one. When I say a bit more tricky, it's more fractions, decimals involved, but it shouldn't matter because it's the exact same method. So let me use the next example. So the next example is 3x squared plus 18x minus 1. Step 1, factorize out 3. So after I factorized out 3, I'm left with x squared plus 6x minus 1 over 3. So I'm left with a fraction in this case, but it doesn't change anything. It's the exact same method. Then you look for the coefficient in front of 6, that the coefficient in front of x, that gives you 6, you half it, and you get 3. Then you write it in squared brackets form, expand the brackets, and fourth step, you see how you can go from +9 to -1 over 3. So that is by doing -28 over 3. Then one final step, which is to rewrite the whole thing as x plus 3 whole squared minus 8 over 3. So I said quite a wrong thing there. That is not the one final step. Our true one final step is when we sub back our square bracket. So that is step 6 in this case, and the final true step is to multiply out this. So that would be 3 bracket x plus 3 whole squared minus 28. Hope that was useful. Exact same method, nothing has changed. It's just a fraction at the end to make it a bit more trickier. But that's pretty much it for the completing the square. So to do a quick summary, if you have a number in front of x squared, you factorize it. Afterwards, you follow the same 5 methods for inside expression. That is finding the coefficient of x, halving it, then making it into a square, then expanding that square, and afterwards you will see the difference of the number to the one in the equation, and you rewrite the whole expression in the completing the squared form. And because you first factorized a number out, you put it back in now and you expand it to get a final completed the square form. So this is pure completing the square, but things get more harder when this is applied into different scenarios. So I would suggest doing some practice questions on that. If you would like some, please comment below. What I will do is I'll put in the descriptions or in the comment as a reply. I can find some good very questions for you, but do let me know. Or you can just find it in Google. It's pretty much type in GCSE completing the square questions and a lot of PDFs comes in and you can find one of them. And I would suggest please do exam style practice. That is the best. No matter how much you know a topic, if you don't do exam style practice, it's going to lose you a lot of marks. But yeah, good luck. That's it for completing the square. If you have any questions at all, please comment below. And before that, please click the subscribe button and the like button. So that's it for today. Oops. That's it for today. Thank you and have a great day.